Sup everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. Today's video we are going on about Titans with Edge of Fate builds. So first off, you guys, I just want to be clear, a lot of these builds are going to be dominant if you look at the artifact and you understand some of the changes going to different weapons and armors. So a lot of these builds are going to be very strong and very team oriented. They can be very solo oriented as well. I've tried to utilize whatever you can and explain workarounds if you don't agree with some obviously of the choices that I have made with the weapons or the armor of the video. But that is that. Otherwise, I hope you guys do enjoy this video. Consider liking and subscribing. Before we get into the video itself, if you would like to obviously donate to the Bungie Foundation for Bungie Day, supporting obviously charities and people in need, feel free. There is a link below in the description, as well as for my hunter mains if you're looking for hunter builds, link below in the description. Otherwise, let's get into it. So the first build I want to go on about is going to be probably my favorite one in the upcoming season, and that is Laurely Splendor Polaris Lance. We're going to be pairing this with Hammer of Soul so it can be a bit more mobile. Making sure you are using Rally Barricade. Jump is your call. I prefer Hammer Strike because I'm not going in close. And then again, if something does come in, I can just do a quick run around. But Hammer Throw is the more viable option here. Healing Nade, again, just for survivability. We pair this with Roaring Flames and Soul Invictus. Roaring Flames, if you would like, you can change for Consecration, depending on what you want to lean into. If you want to get some more, obviously, solar abilities going off in that, and Roaring Flames does pair with your super quite well, you can obviously utilize it. If not, again, you can use Consecration, which still is viable here. And then Soul Invictus, which is your main aspect of this, where obviously Soul ability Final Blows, Hammer of Soul impacts, and defeating Scorch Shadows create sunspots, your abilities regenerate faster, and your super drains more slowly while staying in the sunspot. Super apply sunspots apply Scorch and deal damage to targets inside. Entering a sunspot applies Restoration. This is really good in two sense, with obviously super damage being a thing now, well, primarily intellect, and having shit like, again, one of the more dominant things being weapon damage involved in builds. You can literally just pair this as a pure weapon composition. So your two melee and grenade don't actually get used at all. So you get the concept of being able to do more. And then we're going to be pairing of aspects: Ember of Ashes, Ember of Eruption, Ember of Singeing, and Ember of Char. Singeing is primarily there because you will be scorching a lot of your enemies, and this will help you get your class ability back, which means you can proc Laurely more frequently. Again, Char, Eruption, and Ashes is a combination of just causing longer and higher ignitions, as well as pairing that extra Scorch so they do chain off faster. With the whole new artifact and everything, this will be extremely dominant if you are playing in that passive role. So again, if you like a passive long range build, this is a very dominant one for you. Stats are on the side like last week, or like the hunter build, sorry. They're going to be on the side across all, obviously, builds going forward. The second build that I want to go on about is another base build similar to Solar. This is actually on Strand Titan. So this is one of those exotics that has been kind of left in the dust since all the nerfs to Strand. But bringing into the new season, you will be able to constantly be woven mail, and building around this will be extremely dominant for teams. So we're going with Biont Leap. So a lot of people don't really know, but a Biont Leap is probably one of my favorite exotics. I used to use this so much back in the day, and I just loved using it overall. In terms of what you should be using for the build itself, Blade Fury Super, making sure you're again on Rally Barricade. Rally is the one to go to. If I saw anyone using Towering, you'll see me losing my shit at you. Going on, Jump is your call, Frenzy Blade, Shackle Nade is the most dominant for this setup. You can use Grapple if you would like, but I feel it is not needed for the way we're playing with this build. Into the Fray and Denger's Lash are going to be your aspects here. Reason we're using Into the Fray is destroying a Tangle or casting your super grants Woven Mail for your nearby allies. While you have Woven Mail, your melee regenerates quickly. The concept to this is that you're going to be giving yourself as well as your team constant Woven Mail because of Denger's Lash, activating your Barricade ability to create a ripple in reality that obviously travels forward and suspends targets. Pair this with a Biont Leap. A Biont Leap actually allows you to get Woven Mail from this. So if you don't know, improves Denger's Lash, projectile trails, tracking more aggressively, and further gain Woven Mail when suspended a target. So again, this concept here is always going to give you and your team constant woven mail, more of a support build for Titans. Then we're going to be using Thread of Transmutation, Thread of Community, Thread of Generation, and Thread of Warning. This is just to keep uptime on all of those stats, so being Suspension, being obviously Grenade Regeneration, and Woven Mail. Again, this is a build that is really great for team play, especially in a situation where you want your teams to be able to take a lot more damage and be able to survive that. So again, a lot of teams that I've played with, obviously personally throughout the normal seasons, I'm not gonna lie, half the kids do not generally use anything other than fucking no resistance mods, and they get taken down like a fly. This build here has always been that build that covers their asses, as well as keeping myself alive. So I know with the changes to Bolt Charge next season, they're not going to be as dominant, but this build is still going to be relatively one of the better ones out there, especially for people who do not have a ridiculous amount of time to invest or don't actually like using obviously subclasses like Solar or the meta. So this is more of an off-meta build, but building it right will still be heavy damage and still be heavy survivability. So we're going back to pure Arc Titan. T-Crash being your super. If you want to use Fist of Havoc, I would question you, but feel free. Abilities, you want Rally Barricade again. I'm not gonna lie, Rally Barricade is probably the most goated fucking barricade throughout the last few seasons, with a lot of the aspects and build changes to it all. Jump is your call. Thunderclap is going to be the main one we're utilizing here, with a Pulse Nade or Blind Nade, whatever you feel comfortable with. Knockout and Storm's Keep is going to be your go-to. Pair this with Spark of Shock, Spark of Discharge, Spark of Resistance, and Spark of Ions, so you constantly create Ionic Traces, Bolt Charge, and a lot of fucking jolts. The main go-to with this build is Axiom War Rig. I know Axiom War Rig's probably sounding like, what the fuck are you on about? But if you pair this with an Assault Rifle or a Machine Gun with the changes of Axiom War Rig, it will obviously reload them, but it will increase the damage substantially over time. So this doesn't force you to purely work off of weapon damage, this allows you to work off multiple things. The concept to this build is that you can at least be within a short, close radius to your teammates with viable weapons that obviously work in the arc sort of the arc sort of element. That could be one of the Psycho Chomps, for example, or again, main concept here would be Thunderlord, and you can just constantly bolt charge targets as well as supply that to your team, and supply a ridiculous amount of damage or stable amount of damage in whatever endgame content you are using this in. So the last build is the most popular build currently for the last few seasons, and that is Prismatic Titan, Symphoceps, and Hoyle. If you don't know, you can also kind of rely or rework these to something like Symphoceps and I think it was Assassins, and that's still a viable role. The only difference is, instead of being able to get regen a bit faster, you're just going to be invisible more frequently, which that does actually help a lot more. If you do not actually realize that, then you gotta go check out some solo videos. Otherwise, getting actually into this properly, what you'd be using is either Stasis Super, being Glacial Quake, or T-Crash, your call. I prefer whatever is going to do the most damage in this case, or what's going to give you the most survivability. So that's your call again. Thrust Star is going to be the main aspect here with the abilities. Pair this with whatever jump you want. Frenzy Blade and Shackle Nade. These will never change, not gonna lie. Pair this with Knockout and Consecration. Yes, Consecration gets hit with a nerf next season, but I've already worked around what you can take in and off on the build, varying on what you're utilizing. For fragments, we'll be using Facet of Protection, Facet of Dawn, Facet of Ruin, and Facet of Courage. The main one that I have actually taken off is Facet of Purpose. If you would like to put Facet of Purpose on, you can either take off Dawn, which would give you Radiant, or Ruin, which would increase your shatter size of the shatter size or ignition. Personally, some people would actually do a third option, which is Courage, and that is just your Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to Darkness debuffed enemies. But again, I normally use something that kind of utilizes Facet of Courage more frequently over than the other two. This is just my perspective on it. The changes are going to be a bit rougher on this build. As most people know, this is literally just a slam and go build, slam and go build, slam and go. It's dominant in that end of the game and extremely fun in that end of the game. So I think a lot of people may overlook it. But again, this is going to be probably the most dominant build for Titans still, unless Bungie actually heavily nerf the aspects themselves, which in my opinion would be really stupid considering they're already axing fragments from them, which again I don't agree with, but you just got to do what you got to do. Otherwise, I hope this obviously helps you guys out. Good luck in your runs going forward, and yeah, I'll have a Warlock video up soon, so if you are a Warlock main, you will have something to be looking forward to.